Welcome to the Unstoppable Joy podcast, where functional medicine meets the power of Jesus Christ. I'm your host, Kathryn McAdam. I'm a functional medicine nurse practitioner, a Christian speaker, and author, and co-founder of Sozo Functional Medicine. My journey through health challenges, heartache, and overcoming adversity has deepened my understanding of healing. It's not just the physical, but also mental, emotional, and spiritual. In every episode, we explore the path to greater joy, vitality, and spiritual awakening. This podcast is for anyone seeking not only physical wellness, but also spiritual renewal, firmly rooted in the teachings of Jesus. So, whether you're a devoted listener or joining us for the first time, welcome to the Unstoppable Joy podcast. We'll be offering you the tools and wisdom to unlock your true potential and experience boundless joy. So, pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Hello, friends. It's Kathryn and Joe McAdam here today, and we're going to talk about the lies that we believe. Joe, do you feel like you're a gullible person?
I don't think so most of the time, but I have been swindled.
Swindle. Swindle. That's a really good way of putting it. We are going to be talking about the lies we believe about food. In particular, we're talking about
Sugar.
yes, sugar. So, Joe, you want to give us a little background on why we're talking about sugar today?
Well, we need like a really captivating hook line here. What if I told you that the sweet taste of sugar had a bitter truth behind it?
Ooh, that sounds good. Anything else?
It's all about how the sugar industry and in the 60s pretty much paid off some scientists.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
They paid off scientists.
Yeah.
Who?
They did.
Who did this?
The sugar industry did, and they really screwed up the course of our diets and things like that for decades.
Kidding me.
Well, you know a little about it.
Well, I guess that's probably what our listeners are thinking. Like, what really? We hear all this stuff about fake news and conspiracy theory, but this actually happened?
Yep. It said it was in the 60s, and it was a pivotal moment when the sugar industry allegedly paid science to downplay sugar's health risks.
Wait, sugar is bad for you, right?
Oh, yeah, it's one of the worst things you can have.
What's so bad about it?
You're the expert.
Well, we're just kind of playing here because we both know the story, but tell me a little bit more about this sugar conspiracy theory. Is it more than a theory? It's actually been proven that
Yeah.
this happened, right?
Yeah, they started placing all the blame on fats so that,
Poor fat.
poor fats.
Fat wasn't doing anything. Fat was just minding his own business. And sugar came along and starts poking at him.
Exactly.
So basically, we've been told what? That fat is the enemy and not sugar,
Yes.
right? So that was the whole thing. And we actually have some advertisements that came out about that time that are just laughable now. I mean, we look at them and it's like crazy. There's one of the guys eating a candy bar and it says that sugar's quick energy can be the willpower you need to eat less. And it says diet advice at the top of it. It's pretty crazy. So who was the major contributor in this whole this scheme?
Coca-Cola had contributed, millions of dollars to play down the links between sugar drinks and obesity.
Wow.
And if you remember some of the ads I do growing up, about when the diet colas and all that started coming about in the 80s, I think it was late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, if sugar wasn't the problem, then why did they have to make diet ones?
Yeah.
Interesting. So the Sugar Foundation actually paid 3 Harvard scientists an equivalent of about $50,000 back then to publish a review of the sugar, fat, heart disease link, and they published it in the New England Journal of Medicine. That's a pretty reputable place to be publishing this. So it was this guy, Ansel Keys, and he was one of the key initiators of this whole conspiracy study. And he was the one that told everybody that dietary saturated fat caused cardiovascular disease and to avoid it. And it was because of him that the American Heart Association told the public on TV not to eat butter, lard, beef, or eggs, and encouraged them to adopt a low-fat diet.
He had the right diet with the Mediterranean diet, but it was a low fat version. And those of us who lived through the crazy 80s of the low fat diet craze, we owe this all to Ansel Keys. So, what actually is a leading cause of heart disease? Sugar.
Yeah, it's one of the worst. I mean, we've learned a lot about that in our functional medicine journey.
Yeah. So, actually, cholesterol is something that you really need for your body. There's so many functions of cholesterol in the body. It helps you to make all your hormones, estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, vitamin D. It contributes to our digestion. It makes the sheaths of our nerves, and it's found in our adrenal glands and our brain's white matter. So they're actually finding that this low fat diet may be attributing to some of the Alzheimer's that we see today.
Wow, that's crazy. And didn't we just learn that they're talking about Alzheimer's with you were telling me, weren't you, about the Alzheimer's and the type 3 diabetes?
Yeah, yeah. So they are considering Alzheimer's as now is considered a type 3 diabetes because there's neurologic dysfunction along with insulin resistance. And if you have a trauma, it just increases your risk tremendously of getting Alzheimer's. I saw this a lot in practice. There's a lot of people that I took care of that had had children die as adults, and they had been married for years and years and then lost a spouse. Any kind of traumatic experience is really hard on a person. We really cannot separate the mind, body, spirit. They're all one. And when you go through things in life that is hard for your body to process, there's even a thing called broken heart syndrome where you actually have cardiomyopathy from a heartache,
Wow.
and you can actually die from it. So, what do we do? Like, this is crazy. So, if sugar is the enemy, what about fat? Is fat still a big enemy?
Is this and I was reading the other day about how it helped shape that helped shape dietary guidelines for decades, as we talked about earlier.
The sugar thing?
Yeah, steering them towards like reducing fat intake, while sugar, kind of got a free pass, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
What's crazy is that 50% of heart attacks leading to sudden death happen in patients with normal cholesterol. So cholesterol isn't necessarily the bad guy. Too much cholesterol, of course, in your arteries and plaquing the walls is a response to something that's already wrong. So in functional medicine, we try not to just fix the symptom. We try to address the leading cause or get to the root cause. And for many people, that is having your blood sugar be too high, consuming way too much sugar. You may be like, okay, I don't know if I believe this. They actually had this Framingham study that began in 1948. It lasted over 40 years. And finally, they came out and said, because they were trying to prove that this whole thing of high cholesterol leads to cardiovascular disease, which leads to heart attacks and death. And they had two groups of people, and one of them consumed little cholesterol and saturated fats, and the others consumed large amounts of these things. And finally, they've had to come out and say that the more saturated fat one ate, the more cholesterol one ate, the more calories one ate, the lower the person's serum cholesterol. Wait a second. That's not supposed to be the way it is. But you think about the French diet, like the people in France, they eat it's loaded with saturated fats in the form of butter and eggs and cheese and cream, liver and meats and rich pâtés, yet the French have a lower rate of coronary artery disease than any of the Western countries. It's kind of crazy to think about. So this boils down to cholesterol is not the cause of heart disease. It may be part of the cascade because cholesterol basically goes to patch the damage done to arteries and vessels. Cholesterol is part of your body's mechanism to heal arterial damage. But what exactly causes that?
What?
Sugar.
Jeez.
So sugar is basically very irritating. Have you ever seen anybody who has diabetes who ends up with what they call neuropathy in
Oh
their
yeah,
hands or their feet?
my mom had some onset of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, they can have trouble with their vision. They can lose their legs
Wow.
because of they don't heal correctly. And basically, sugar is very abrasive to those vessels. And when you have high levels of sugar in your blood system, it will then cut away, in lack of a better term, just damage those vessels. And so that's where it all begins. It doesn't begin with the cholesterol, it begins with the high sugar content of what we're eating and what we're putting in our bodies. Joe, do you have a sweet tooth?
Yeah, not as much as you. No, I'm not too bad. I control it pretty good, I think.
I have a huge sweet tooth,
Yeah.
especially in the evening. I want something sweet after we have dinner. And did you know that some people, I guess in my past too, like, because I've had insulin resistance, which is my body gets so used to having so much blood and or so much sugar in the bloodstream because of the way my diet was, that it gets resistant to insulin, doesn't work as well. So insulin basically is the key that opens up the cells and enables them to absorb the glucose or blood sugar. And then the blood sugar that's not used in by our cells, it gets stored as fat. So there is, myself included, a lot of people that have like these massive swings of their blood sugar levels. They consume like a lot of sugar and then their blood sugar spikes and then it then plummets as all the insulin then is pushing the sugar into the cells. And then you have this crash and you're back and forth and back and forth. It can lead to fatigue. It can lead to mood swings and it can really affect your ability to handle stress. And a lot of times there have been incidences where people have been diagnosed with bipolar or depression. And it's just because of this constant consuming these high amounts of sugar and not having a balanced diet and not having a steady blood sugar can really wreak havoc on your life. It can cause you to feel like you have no control over your feelings or behavior because you're in these spikes. And almost like a diabetic, when their blood sugar gets low, they can get confused and they can be what we say hangry, right?
Right.
Which can happen to people that aren't diabetic as well. So it's just like this roller coaster where people eat large amounts of simple carbs or sweets. And I have to laugh. One time I had a patient who said they were managing their blood sugar and they were like, well, I don't eat sugar. And they were thinking like table sugar, like just granulated sugar. Like, no, no. Any kind of fruit, any kind of carb, whether it's a simple carb, like breads, pastas, rice, potatoes, all those things are carbs, crackers, anything like that is a simple sugar and it gets converted in your bloodstream to energy and if your body doesn't need all the energy then it gets stored as fat. So, yeah, so there's like this big crazy roller coaster. People eat large amounts of sugar
I mean,
or
there's sugar addiction too, big time, isn't
yeah, yeah, you can be very addicted to it. Your blood sugar rises fast because you consumed all these sweets and these simple carbs. And temporarily, you feel good. You may even have like a sugar high. I remember Naomi when she was little. Can't remember where she came from, but she's like, "I'm all sugared up, Mama," and she was she was very
it?
very bouncy at that moment. Anyway, so you temporarily feel good, maybe high. Your pancreas then starts to secrete that insulin, and then your blood sugar just basically just plummets, and you get into this crash. And unless you grab another simple carb or sweet to feel better, you'll be taking a nap. And this happens with me. Like I can't eat the normal breakfast. American breakfast would be like pancakes and sausage and syrupy everything, and I love that stuff, but if I eat that and have like a bit of orange juice, I will be asleep in about a half hour.
How about some of the cereals we ate growing up?
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
God, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, just empty calories. Like I remember eating like
Sugar
rice.
smacks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my mom never bought that kind of thing, but we'd have like
Apple Jacks.
Rice Krispies.
Even Raisin Bran had
Oh my gosh. It does. It has a ton of sugar. So actually the two leading causes of coronary artery disease are systemic inflammation and insulin resistance. So what can we do?
You got to change your diet, don't you? I mean, basically, I think from what I've learned from you and studying functional medicine is we kind of have to get back to basics. with all these processed things that are out there, and just get back to, organic produce, and, that you were telling us about, or telling me about healthy, clean fats and healthy, clean protein. It's just about kind of cutting everything out and starting over. I mean, they're talking about like, your skin aging and risk of certain types of cancers and things like that. Not just your, normal things you think about, like your dental health and things like that. Mental health is a key. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah, it can really wreak havoc on your mood. One thing I found that was so interesting is the whole issue of fatty liver disease. And diets high in fructose, a type of sugar, can lead to an accumulation of fat in the liver, which then can progress to this non alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's a major cause of liver disease worldwide. And what's so crazy about that is, you think about people that drink too much, they can end up with liver disease, cirrhosis. And there's a type of disease called this non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and they're actually finding it in kids. It's just horrific. I mean, you think about these kids and their diets, and it basically does damage to the liver because the liver is where sugars are processed, one of the places. And the liver can store sugars and then release them as glucagon later in the day or in the evening, in the nighttime. The Chinese medicine people say they call it the liver hour. And it's from like 1, I think, to like 4 a.m. And they say if you wake up around those hours, it's because your blood sugar has dropped and your body sees that as an emergency. And so it wakes you up.
Hmm.
Kind of crazy to think about. So, what are some tips that we have for people for avoiding sugar? Number one, I think, is to start looking at labels, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I was shocked because I used to drink milk all the time. I most recently figured out I'm sensitive to dairy. And so I
A lot
cut
of
that.
sugar in there too.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like 1 glass of milk, I want to say it's like 12 grams of sugar.
Oh, yeah. You were telling me about that. Was crazy.
Yeah, and so you think that you have this health food, it's whole milk. It's supposed to be good for you, and it's crazy. It has so much sugar in it. Um, reading those food labels is key because there's hidden sugar in everything. Sriracha. We were eating some sriracha the other day, and oh my gosh, it has sugar in it.
Yeah.
So even like spice mixes and sauces and so much that you wouldn't think of is, oh, it's a hot sauce, and a lot of times they have sugar in them. What other things can you think of, honey?
I mean, like you were saying to me, it's about choosing the whole foods type thing, unprocessed things, vegetables, certain fruits, lean meats, fish, eggs, nuts, seeds, that kind of thing is a good place to start, definitely.
Yeah. And unless you have an actual allergy or sensitivity to a certain food group, we're supposed to eat all different food groups, right? I mean, sweets is not considered a food group,
Some
unfortunately.
people think so.
Yeah, I used to. But yeah, so the other thing too is drinks.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge source. I mean, some people think, oh, I'm drinking. I had a patient that came in one time and they were trying to help their kidney function. And they had just ramped up their lemonade consumption
Oh,
instead of just
geez.
having like lemon in their water. And so then their blood sugars were like sky high, but they weren't thinking about it.
And a lot of those teas, out
Hmm.
there, I mean, have a lot of sugar just like soft drinks do. Even the herbal teas and sparkling waters, that type of thing. One thing that surprised me the other day was kombuchas even. You
Hmm.
think those are healthy, and then you look and all of a sudden they've got the sweetener in there and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah. So anything basically juice wise
Right.
has a lot of some of that it can be natural sugar, but even natural sugars you can have too many. Do you drink a lot of juice?
You know what? Not really, I don't think.
Occasionally we have some, but
Yeah.
for the most part we drink water. I mean, and we flavor it with lemon or ginger or whatever we have kind of around.
It's surprising how much water we drink when we did the health tests, the labs, and we had to go without water. Well, no, just 40 ounces for the entire day. And it was surprising. You said you felt like you
Oh,
had zero energy and you were just out of it in a brain fog just because you didn't have water.
yeah, water is so important
Mhm.
for all of our functions in our body. And yeah, we had some testing that we did and we had to limit our water intake and it was tough.
I think we also need to eat more fiber. I mean, and the right kinds of fiber, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's an important thing to have is making sure that you have like veggies, raw veggies and fruits. You like we talked about before, like if you juice something, you're not going to get all the fiber in it and have that benefit of it.
What about those misleading labels that we heard about the other day too, about the low fat and the quote unquote diet
Oh,
foods?
yeah. Yeah, that was a big staple in my house growing up.
Yeah.
All the diet foods, and it drove me crazy, and it never tasted good. The low fat, low sugar well, I never really got into low sugar stuff because it was the '80s, right? It was always low fat, and it tasted like chemicals to me because pretty much it was, right? So what are some ideas for, like, breakfast if you wanted to limit sugar and have a healthy breakfast? What would that look like?
I don't know. We do the proteins with the eggs and the veggies. I think the other morning we had what 10 different veggies in our eggs. And I mean, I still do. I love omelets, but we found that we don't put cheese in our omelets anymore. And believe it or not, you don't miss it that much.
Mm-mm.
I mean, when you get all the other little flavors in there, the tomatoes that we really like and the
Mhm.
mushrooms and the peppers and oh,
Yeah, yeah, we've been doing a lot of sauces, like, making like a avocado-based sauce or even taking some almond yogurt and like flavoring it and adding that into our mix. It's been pretty good too. Um, what about snacks? What are some good ideas for snacks that are low sugar?
I like apples. I really do. Blueberries, of course, are my favorite.
Mhm.
They might have a
Yeah,
little sugar in them, but still.
yeah.
What do you like?
Um, all those things, if I eat them by themselves, I'm crashing
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure I still have some insulin resistance going on. But nuts basically are a big staple item that we have a lot of as a snack. And then I have a few blueberries or something like that. Not a lot because I'm just sensitive to it. I think that you can handle that a little bit better than I can. But we have yogurt, but we have to like, try to be careful and read that label because so much like that Greek yogurt that we got the other day, it's just a regular whole fat Greek yogurt and it has like 15 grams of sugar for one serving
Which
and
is equal to how much? I mean,
15 teaspoons.
it's crazy.
I know it is. It's insane. But there's hidden sugar in everything. Even I've seen it in like ketchup and
Oh, yeah.
taco sauce, and of course, peanut butter has a lot of sugar in it, unless you get just the plain old natural peanut butter. But I do a lot of like celery and almond butter, or I'll make like an avocado dip and have some fresh veggies in that for a snack. We eat a lot of salads, and my favorite lately has been the quinoa salad that we make. We roast some vegetables and then have some greens and some quinoa, and then I make a tahini dressing, and I that's been my favorite most recently. So this has been quite the journey today. We dove into the smear campaign that sugar had against
Right.
fat. Those naughty sugar people.
Exactly. Absolutely. We've uncovered the hidden impacts of sugar on our health from weight gain and heart disease to its effects on our energy level and mental well being.
Hmm. And we armed you with some practical tips of different snacks and ways to look out for sugar, different food items that you might want to put in your pantry and try. And then just being careful about looking at labels and seeing what's actually in the food that you're putting in your body.
Yeah. Just make even start with small, sustainable changes, and not, you don't have to cut out everything and all the sweets and everything in your life, right all at once.
We still indulge from time to time.
I wasn't going to tell them about that.
Yeah, we do. We like dark chocolate, and we usually have a little piece once a day. Try not to do more than once a day. It's hard. We're making small changes every day, and hope to encourage you to do the same. And you know, thing about our health is, it's a reflection of who we are. And um, when you are looking to have a vibrant, full life, when you're not feeling good, when you have these major sugar um, peaks and valleys, and you're not feeling at your best, you're fatigued, and your moods are swinging one way and another, and it's not the life that God created us to have. I feel it's really important to equip ourselves with these practical things and this knowledge of knowing how to care for our bodies in the best way and to have them be optimally healthy. I think that's what God would have us to do. It's part of being healthy and being a good steward of what God has given us. So I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it helpful. And we hope that you have a great rest of your week.
Have a great day.
Be blessed.